Welcome to day 9 of Natural Beauty Summit's Detox Your Beauty Regimen series. I'm Salome Sallehy, founder and president at Sugar Wax, a clean beauty company. And today is my birthday. Happy birthday to me. I'm super grateful for this last spin around the sun, and although it's been a year of challenges, it has also been a humbling year of growth. Before I introduce my lovely guest, Melody Watts, I want to take a minute and thank you for sticking around and learning with me throughout the series. Also, as a thank you and my birthday gift to you, I want to make it a little bit easier to detox your hair removal regimen with a 30% discount at Sugar Wax today only. If you've been thinking about trying sugaring, reducing waste, or even just being kinder to your skin in the hair removal process, I welcome you to join our Sugar Tribe. Use my birthday code today, birthday30, for 30% off at Sugar Wax. Now, to get back to our regular programming. Today, I'm speaking with Melody Watts, essential oil expert from doTERRA, and we're talking about the magical powers of essential oils. And we'll also be talking a little bit about some of the common misconceptions about uses and quality of different oils. Of course, it makes sense that essential oils are incredibly powerful. They're derived from nature's potent resources in high concentrations, and by virtue of being in oil form, are stable and usable for extended periods. In our chat, Melody talks about specific uses of certain oils as well as oil remedies. Stay tuned for some essential enlightenment. Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. Today I am speaking with Melody Watts, essential oil expert. Now you've seen her bio and now you get to meet her and hear from her. And I'm really excited to talk about essential oils because they're so multifaceted, so many different uses and functions, and I'm actually just interested in learning more myself. So hi Melody. You've been in essential oils and using them for clients for over 10 years, and you've been able to achieve some incredible results for yourself as well as for clients. And I'm wondering if you could just talk about some of those first aha experiences, the thing that made you think like, I want to do this, because your personal story weaves into this, and then it's just been a journey.
Yeah, so I actually, before I got into oils, I was really big into alternative medicine. I did consulting for chiropractic offices. I was an office manager in 3 different chiropractic offices over 10 years. And when I had a family, when I started having kids, I kind of backed off on some of that day job stuff, and I ended up having my kids had some health concerns, and so did I. And so I was looking for natural things, and there wasn't anything that was working, which was crazy because I had all this experience with natural medicine and nothing was working. And I was like, oh man, there's got to be, because I was really taught that, the power that made the body heals the body heals itself if you give it the right tools and the right mindset, and so I was really just like, one looking for something. I was really seeking and praying, actually, like, what should I, please help me find something that will help my son with his cough. And I ended up coming across essential oils. And I had tried, the grocery store brand before. I'd tried other oils before, but I didn't have the result that I did when I used the doTERRA Breathe essential oil. And I put it on his chest, I put it on his feet with a carrier oil, and he slept through the night without coughing. and it had been 6 months. And so I went from feeling very frustrated and helpless to hopeless. Like, what are we gonna, is he gonna have a life of, health issues? Because having health issues at the age of 3, I guess, people might think it's the new norm, but it's really something that, there's a lot of things we can do to help prepare the body to help it heal itself better. And so when I learned this, when I had this result, I all of a sudden had this, glimmer of hope. And then I thought, I wonder if it can help me. And I started using it for things like head tension and sleep and stress and fatigue. And I just had incredible results with it, because I deal with different things like autoimmune and Lyme disease. And so just being able to deal with the day-to-day symptoms that come along with that naturally was really big for me. And then I had like this aha, and this is how I got into really the business side of things, is I had this aha that, wow, mothers and people need to have these options in their home. Like these are so simple. They work so well. They're so predictable. They're so, they work well when they're pure and when they're, used correctly. And so I started teaching, first out of homes and then out of clinics. And now I get on world stages and talk about essential oils and how to use them in the biochemistry and functional medicine and all that kind of stuff. And so I love it. I've been doing that for the last 8 years, 7.5 to 8 years. And I love it.
That's awesome. And, I think you touched on something that's really important. I think there's a lot of either misconception or misguidedness around how to use essential oils. And there's so many practical applications. And I love that the range of impact of essential oils can be so deep, like from just like fragrant to mental to, therapeutic. I mean, in one of our products, in our powder, our body powder, Detox Dust, we use a blend of essential oils as well for like their, antibacterial properties, for their soothing properties, healing properties, et cetera, et cetera. Now, can you give us a little bit of an overview about, how and which oils you have used or clients have used that facilitate like detoxing process, and how are you using them?
So there's a lot of different oils that can help with detox. I would say first and foremost, citrus oils. And you have to be careful with using citrus oils on the skin because they are phototoxic, photosensitive. So if you put citrus oils on your skin and then go out in the sun, you can get a sunburn. And so you want to generally use these at night before bed. You want to give yourself 12 hours before being exposed to the sun. And but these are great they have so many incredible antioxidant properties. But what makes them so detoxifying is the main chemical constituent in citrus oils is L-limonene. And limonene helps with the recycling of glutathione, and glutathione is the master antioxidant, which binds to toxins and pulls them out. And this declines as we age. And so our ability to detox, our ability to have this antioxidant support in our body, it's part of the main mitochondrial function is the glutathione cycle. And it just declines as we age with stress and age. And so I love that the citrus oils boost your body's own ability to recycle glutathione. And that is probably the biggest thing that's going to help with detoxification as far as essential oils go. Now, are there different products within our line that we recommend, essential oil-based products? Absolutely. We have a turmeric dual chamber capsule, which is a combination of turmeric root and turmeric essential oil, making it 11 times more bioavailable, which is really big when it comes to turmeric because it's not a bioavailable herb. And so when you combine it like it exists in nature with the essential oil, then all of a sudden it becomes very bioavailable. It's huge for the liver. It's neuroprotective. It's great for the digestive system. And, we know that the liver and the digestive system is the main detox pathway. And so turmeric dual is excellent for that. And then of course, things like the probiotics, doTERRAs are slow release. So they make it past the stomach acid into the intestines where you really need that good chemistry. And so, especially if people are having skin issues, we always talk about, there's two main detox pathways. The first detox pathway is the liver, the kidneys, and the digestive system. And then the second detox pathway is the skin and the respiratory system. So we know that when the skin and the respiratory system is acting up, that our first detox pathway is not functioning at its optimum. And so we always start with the gut. And so things like the PB Assist, food enzymes, Zindocrine complex, which contains bitter herbs like milk thistle and dandelion marshmallow. Some of these amazing herbs that are excellent for the liver and in cleansing. And liver is so huge when it comes to the skin. So those are kind of the main ones. And then, of course, we have a very specific blend essential oil called Zindocrine, specifically for the endocrine system. So thyroid, kidneys, liver, skin, even hormones is the Zindocrine essential oil. So between citrus oils, some of the digestive supplements, some of the really powerful antioxidant and neuroprotective oils like turmeric, and then, of course, the Zindocrine blend oil. Those are some of the main basic ones you would use for detoxification. But I do think detoxification is very multifaceted. And so looking at, emotionally what's going on with the person and their stress levels have a huge effect on whether or not they can detox well. So then we would bring in the stress oils like Adaptive Blend and Adaptive Complex, specifically to lower cortisol and increase your ability to cope to stressful situations. So there's a lot we would do. If I was working with somebody specifically and they wanted to detox, we would go lots of different angles, but we would definitely start with gut health and citrus oils.
Okay, I love that. And you mentioned the gut, and I thought that this is an important point to bring up because I've heard some crazy stories about people ingesting essential oils and then like getting burns on the inside. And I think, it's weird. But I think that, to my point earlier, there is a little bit of confusion about how you use some of these oils. So you
Sure.
talked a lot about different ones in there. Can we just isolate the citrus oils because I personally love them,
Yeah.
and just talk about the application and some of the other oils? If you can just talk about how you classify them. Are essential oils meant to be digested at any point in any way, shape, or form? Or is that like a different class of oils? Like, how does it all work?
Good questions, really good questions. And there is so much information and misinformation on the internet about essential oils. It's become a multi-billion-dollar industry. And, doTERRA has been around for 12 years. And really, doTERRA is one of the only brands that really touts internal use. And there's a couple reasons for that, and I'll explain why. And then there's there's the European school of thought, which they use internally. They've been using oils internally for centuries. And then there's kind of this American aromatherapy school of thought that it's only topical use and only in rare occasions directed by a physician would you take internal. And so there's just these different schools of thought. And what I have always gone back to is two things: science and results, right? And so if the science shows that internal use with properly pure oils is safe and effective and can actually help increase, for example, there's research on oregano essential oil helping with gut permeability. So it's going to help reduce the leaky gut, right? And things like that. And there's research on clove essential oil helping with very specific digestive concerns that actually improve and can reverse some of those digestive concerns that people deal with. And then it's actually looking at, well, what actually happens within the mucous membrane in the cell on a scientific level. And when you are using pure oils, the mucous membranes are perfectly made to absorb and utilize and benefit from essential oils. But caveat here, if you're using oils that are too hot, you definitely want to make sure you have food in your stomach, and you also potentially want to add a carrier oil to it like coconut oil. And also you also want to look at dosing, right? So you want to look at what's the proper dose per adult, per child, things like that. All that can be found on doTERRA's website. But then the research, there's a bibliography with over 1,000 different research articles on essential oils within the doTERRA bibliography that talks about eternal use. And so what I have found, that as much as I love the aromatherapy camp, is that we have really out-scienced them in the world of medicine. And so in the world of medicine, they're doing a lot of research on internal use, and we have to look at the science. We can't look at, the last 10 or 20 years of aromatherapy and bring in and go, oh, it's so dangerous because so-and-so had an incident one time when they ingested an entire bottle of eucalyptus and died from it. Well, it's like, well, if you're drinking an entire bottle of eucalyptus, that's potentially the same as eating an entire bottle of Advil and you'd overdose on it, right? So the key is dosage. The key is quality. Research and multiple third-party labs have showed that about 95% of essential oils on the market today are adulterated, synthetic, or fake. And so, do not ingest oils that you don't have proper research on, that they don't have proper testing, that they're not transparent. Definitely. I mean, I would go out there and I would say 95% of the essential oils on the market, I wouldn't even put it on my skin, let alone ingest it. Right. And so when I'm looking at certain things like essential oils, there's essential oils, when we talk about gut chemistry, there's essential oils that increase dopamine when taken internally, that increase your body's ability to produce serotonin. So there's these things that are really, really beneficial when taken internally, when taken the right way, with the right quality and the right dosage. But when you have people drink an entire bottle of eucalyptus, that's common. I hope that's common sense that you wouldn't drink a whole bottle of eucalyptus, but of course you're going to get sick from that. Then you've got the whole metabolic issue. Like, how long does it actually take to metabolize essential oils? And they metabolize out of the body within about a half hour to 4 hours, depending on the dose. And so there's so many different facets to internal use that I always say, work with a quality brand that has the science, the backing, and the research of internal use. And then, not that I put a lot of weight into the FDA, but the FDA does say that essential oils are generally recognized as safe for human consumption. They're found in gum. They're found in drinks, they're found in foods, and people say, oh, that's emulsified in the food. And of course it is, but it also goes to show you that it is safe, especially when emulsified with food or potentially with a carrier oil. So that's kind of my opinion on internal use. Internal use is probably one of the ways that I use them the most, and my children too as well. And I'll tell you this, because of my certain health conditions, I have to get stool tests, I have to get digestive tests. And, I come back with, you have the best digestion chemistry of anyone we've ever tested.
Wow.
So I can assure you, after, 10 years of using doTERRA, that, for me, as somebody that has used essential oils every day for the last 10 years, my stomach has never been better. In fact, in my early 20s, I had things like IBS and ulcers and things like that. And I don't have any of that now. So go with, I think for everybody, the misinformation is so vast out there that you really do need to search deep and actually work with and look at the science and the research.
Yeah. And I think you touch on some really important things in there. I generally have stayed away from ingesting essential oils because of exactly what you're saying. The companies or the producers, it's so random and it's from so many different places. And when we were formulating, like just for our powder, one of the products, we found that like the essential oils that we were from different sources would have so many other ingredients in there that are not listed, and just, kind of working through that. And I love the transparency. And I think like if you can find a brand, I think like for the audience, if you have a brand that it has the science and is trusted and tested, and they are saying you can ingest it, that is like a great place to start, versus a brand that like they don't take either position about it, then it makes me like feel kind of sketchy about what is really in that essential oil. I think the misunderstanding is that because it's called essential, we think it's just a single ingredient product, and it's not always. So how much, like carrier oils are kind of required, and purity, etc. But like if you have 50 ingredients in your essential oil, then it's not an essential oil anymore. It's some like lab concoction. And and I think the more I learn about this whole detoxing your beauty regimen, the more I realize that the concept of detox is really a three-pronged approach. There's the environmental, ingestible, and topical. And I love that like essential oils allow you to tackle all three.
Yeah.
Sometimes we really like underestimate the power of that. So, in your experience, can you talk a little bit about, you touched on it earlier, like skin conditions and how they relate to the liver, but can you talk a little bit more specifically about some of the more common skin conditions that you've come across, and what are some of the remedies that have been helpful?
So, a lot of things, and I'll have to tell you, as somebody that does rep doTERRA, I have to be really careful not to make any condition claims. So, I maybe can't use some of the words that you can use, but I will try to translate into something that makes sense, like for you guys. So, when you're dealing maybe with some redness on the cheeks, right? That's generally a digestive issue. If you're feeling dry and red around the cheeks, of course, there's oils you can use topically, but I look at that as okay, we need to maybe look at the chemistry in the gut and looking at some foods, potentially doing an elimination diet, bringing in food enzymes, bringing in probiotics. Potentially doing a parasite cleanse. That's something that I actually work quite a bit with, parasites and heavy metals. And I use a completely even different line of supplementation for that functional medicine line. But generally, you're looking at liver and digestion. Now, topically, some of the things that are really going to soothe red, itchy skin are going to be oils like copaiba, which is an endocannabinoid. So it works similar to CBD oil, only it doesn't have the THC. So it doesn't have the psychotropic properties that cannabis does. So the copaiba is incredible for the histamine response and redness, and it's very, very soothing. Anytime I'm having some sort of a reaction or itchiness, or even sometimes if I've eaten something I'm not supposed to eat, I'll have a histamine response or bloating, I'll take copaiba, and it's just great for histamine in the gut. It's also great for dopamine, but specifically for the skin, it's just going to soothe it. I had a gal that she was actually having an allergic reaction to lavender. Some people are allergic to lavender. And so we had her use, she had tried couple different oils, and then she finally reached out to me. I told her copaiba, and she just said, oh, it just soothed it immediately, her skin. And she showed me some before and after pictures. So copaiba is great. Another one that's really great, and that one doesn't require a carrier oil because it's already very viscous. Another one that is incredible for skin is yarrow palm. And this is actually a blend. Yarrow is incredible for the skin, but yarrow does not stay stable by itself. And so doTERRA has a patented blend of yarrow and pomegranate seed oil blended. So it's blended with a carrier oil, and it is just incredible for redness. Again, it has antihistamine type properties in it. The yarrow does. Some of those flower oils like lavender and helichrysum and Roman chamomile are great for that response where you're having a histamine response. And so I love using that. I love using Roman chamomile even internally to get redness in my skin down. Another one that we'll see is like red welts or bumps on the skin.
Yeah.
And that can be soothed very quickly with peppermint, lavender, and tea tree. So just making like a spray bottle with a little bit of water and put some peppermint, lavender, and tea tree and spraying it, and it can really bring those welts down very quickly if somebody's having some sort of that. And then I always recommend, if you are having a reaction like that, taking lemon essential oil internally to boost your glutathione, because whatever you're reacting to, we want to bind and we want to get it out as quickly as possible. I also recommend, if you are having an allergy to something, that taking a clay bath can be really effective at pulling out some of those things. So if you're feeling like your skin's reacting to something, doing some clay or using a mud mask, a pure mud mask, can be really helpful for that. Okay, so now let's kind of move into like blemishes, and then we'll move on to like dark circles and tone. Okay, but when we're talking about blemishes around the chin area, you're looking at more hormonal. So yes, there's some topical oils I love, like tea tree and rose essential oil. We have a blend called Clear Skin that is really great for the topical blemishes, but then also using a blend like Clary Calm over the ovaries, over the uterus, can be very soothing to the hormones and some of that hormonal blemishes that you'll see around the chin. I also like Clary Calm over the thyroid, because the thyroid is a master hormonal gland.
I feel like I should be taking notes, and like I need everything you're talking about right now.
So it's that Clary Calm is so good for the thyroid, and just over around that time of the month too, over the ovaries, it's incredibly soothing. I remember the first time I used essential oils for menstrual cramps, I was just like completely blown away. And I just used it right over my menstrual cramps, and in 5 minutes they were just gone. And I was like, what is this? What is this magic? It's so great. I use it over the thyroid, over the ovaries, but then that can help as well with the skin. And then if you're getting more like blemishes around the eyebrows, that generally is a sign of an intestinal flare up, or like maybe you're eating foods, or maybe you ate something, but this is like, ooh, the intestines are overloaded. This is the intestinal meridian. So getting some of those eyebrow blemishes and pimples can be really soothed by doing a digestive cleanse, bringing in zindocrine complex, bringing in the food enzymes, the probiotic. But then topically, again, I would go with like a tea tree or a rose essential oil, or a HD Clear, which is the skin essential oil for blemishes. The other thing that can be really soothing for the skin, I had a doctor friend of mine, I work with a lot of doctors, and she was reacting to something. Her skin was just red. It was just red everywhere. And she was using tea tree, and it wasn't doing anything. That's why I tell people, if the oils aren't working for you, just pick a different oil, and pick a different, you're treating the wrong thing, right? And so I told her to do some vetiver. And we did vetiver, and that's a root oil. And we did vetiver, and the next day her skin had just completely cleared up. There was no more redness, and it was just soothed. So vetiver, any kind of root oil or tree oil like vetiver or cedarwood or sandalwood, can be very soothing to skin that just feels red or inflamed. My absolute favorite for wrinkles, my two favorite for wrinkles, are going to be Hawaiian sandalwood and frankincense. And so I just use those, and the yarrow palm. I have to say the yarrow palm is incredible for wrinkles, but we just use the frankincense and sandalwood around everywhere where you've got delicate skin, and it just makes it so supple and so helpful. I'm 42, and I haven't had any kind of Botox or anything like that. And
No, you look amazing. Amazing.
This is literally essential oils. Now, I was born with these bags. Like, I've had them since I was 1 year old. But I will tell you, with dark circles, the thing that can really help increase circulation and help with the coloring right here is cypress. So as you take cypress, and also if you do have dark circles, that can for sure be a sign of parasites. So if it's an unusual thing, like I was born with bags because I'm Italian and I have deep set eyes, but if you start to get the darkness right here, you are looking at probably a parasitic issue. And so check with, a functional medicine doctor for skin, but your skin will tell you a lot about your digestive health. But yeah, for wrinkles and that supple skin, I just love there's a blend called Immortelle that has all of the skin oils in it, but rose is incredible for skin and scarring. I also really love geranium, which is cheap man's rose. Geranium also really good for menstrual cramps and hormones and the liver. So a lot of benefits from geranium as well. So many that you can use, topically. I make a lot of my own stuff, just straight essential oil with coconut or straight essential oil with shea butter. And that really helps with that kind of stuff. Sorry, my girls are making smoothies.
Oh, that's okay. I don't hear it. That's awesome. And, I find, I don't know how or what happened that I've become such an advocate of essential oils lately, but I just find that, as I get busier as a mom, I'm also trying to minimize the number of steps. Less is definitely more. I don't need a 10-step beauty regimen. I need a few effective tools in my toolkit that are my go-to, that I could just go and whether I'm having a sleepless night or the wrinkles or whatever it might be, that I can work with minimal amount of stuff. And I found that oils, essential or non, like you talked about, shea butter or coconut oil, have actually allowed me to replace a lot of other products.
Right.
So I'm sure you've had a similar journey to that. So can you talk about some of the products that you just don't use anymore because you have, your favorite essential oils and that's your beauty repertoire?
Yeah, I mean, as far as anti-aging and skin serum, I just use essential oils. I use the yarrow palm. I use a little shea butter or coconut oil. That's all I use for my moisturizer. I just look at things with lots of ingredients in them and I'm just like, oh, and I actually have what's called multiple chemical sensitivities where I can smell if an oil or a cream is toxic. It literally gives me a headache. So I can smell something and my multiple chemical sensitivity will say don't use that on your body. It's like it's like I'm a dog. I have like this heightened sense of smell, right? Like I can't be around Glade plugins or Scentsy candles. And so what I do for my skin is I just use my oils for that. And then for cleansing, I just make a scrub with coconut oil, salt, essential oils, and water. And that is like my scrub. Sometimes I'll add walnuts. Like I've got some of my DIY stuff back here. I'll add walnut, or I'll make a mask with clay or charcoal and essential oils and water and coconut oil. And so I just make everything with 2 or 3 ingredients. It's very simple. When I run out, I just come down here and grab my clay and I just buy it all in bulk and make my own stuff. As far as like a toner, I just take like witch hazel with a little bit of essential oil and shake it and spray it. And that's my toner. I love things like ylang ylang or basil, rosemary. I use some of these for my hair, for hair growth too. So I'll take some castor oil and I'll just rub it on with some rosemary and some lavender for eyelash and eyebrows. Recently, I've grown my eyebrows out. These are all me. But
Fabulous.
I used to pluck really, a lot, like the whole thing in the early 2000s when we had like these tiny things.
Yeah.
And so I've recently grown them out. And so I use the rosemary and things like that to help with the hair. After you've plucked for 20 years, it can be hard to get your brows back, right? Or if you've done a lot of lash extensions, it can be hard. And I can't even do lash extensions because of my chemical sensitivity. So I will put a drop of lavender in my mascara or rosemary in my mascara. And that's what I'll use for, to increase and enhance. And even lip plumpers, like I literally will take cinnamon and put it in my lip gloss, and that's my lip plumper. And my lips will like burn.
Oh, I love it.
They plump. They definitely plump. And I guess the better word for it would be they swell.
Yes.
So that's another fun little beauty thing that I do. But yeah, everything is very simple. And I mean, even my cleaning. So like, I'll just take a little drop of lemon, and I'll just I have a glass thing here, and I don't use glass cleaner. I just use a drop of lemon, and that cleans my glass. And so everything is very, very non-toxic. 1 or 2 ingredients. I literally do everything with essential oils in my home. So yeah, it's very simple around here.
I love that you touched on that, because the environmental factor is something that we're now becoming a lot more aware of because of COVID, and we're all home. And I remember my husband wanting to mop in the morning, and I was like, use the steamer. You can use that. We're going to be breathing it all day long. And yeah, and I love that essential oils are so multifaceted.
And it's fun? Put a drop of Douglas fir or Siberian fir into your steamer, and your house will smell like a forest.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So here's what we're going to do, guys. A lot of Melody's tips and guide lives in an ebook. Yes?
Yeah.
And Melody is generously giving you guys free access to this ebook. The link is in the email, and you just go sign up and download the ebook. And I think I would really like to take it one step further, because I'm really loving all the things that you said. And we will also include the 3 things that you talked about for eyelash and brow growth, and for the uses of lemon and lip gloss. So you'll see that as well.
Awesome.
Melody, is there anything else that you want to add? Any last words of wisdom from your many years as an essential oil expert?
I'll just say that many of these tips can be found on my website. So if you guys need recipes and things like that, but the ebook is, it's stress and essential oils. So it's like 70 pages. So I literally take you through how to deal with every type of stress using essential oils and balancing chakras and your energy centers. And affirmations and stress can play such a huge role on our skin. I remember in 2017, I went through a custody battle, and I look back at pictures from me from 2017, and my skin looks so haggard. It looked like I aged 10 years that year, and my skin looks better now than it did in 2017 because of the stress my body was under. And so I think that being able to deal with stress is such a huge, huge thing. So yeah, that you can find that at melodywatts.net. You just go straight there. It's the first thing that pops up is that ebook. It's totally free.
Awesome. Thank you. And on that note of stress, I feel like right now it's like stress is the baseline of our day to day. Even if, things are fine and things are great, things are still different. And that in and of itself induces stress. So thank you so much for sharing that with our viewers and for being awesome. And we'll include all of Melody's links because there is so much good content there. Thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Melody, for today.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.